Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Lessons of the Woods by 10 Point Whitetails. I'm your host Dylan Porter, and with me we have our co-host Kyle Weber. And Kyle, are you sick of winter yet? Because I know I am. At the time of this recording, it is currently April 7th. And in northwest Minnesota, we have bare minimum of 18 inches of snow in the woods, possibly up to 2 feet in the woods. No grass in sight. My driveway's not even melted off, and I kept that thing plowed all winter. I'm sick of winter, guys. I'm ready for it to be over.
I'll read you my highs. Today was the high of 32.
Okay, same.
I will suspect that it's pretty much the last winter day. Tomorrow's 42. No, tomorrow's 51, 59, 60, 67, 70, 60, 59, 55, 56. And then we start getting lows in the high 30s, low 40s. So the next week and a half, finally, April shows up 3 weeks late, and we can get rid of this 4-foot snow. I was on the property this last weekend, a day and a half ago, and jumped out of the side-by-side and went to my knees in snow. We have a good solid snowpack of 4 feet probably still. I suspect there'll be snow banks much into May.
I'm sure we'll be right about there. I would actually bet we've got more snow this year than we have maybe almost ever. If you live in northwest Minnesota, you will hopefully remember, or at the very least heard about, I don't remember it, I was 3, the flood of 97. This year has been very much compared to the flood of 97 so far. So,
well, for you northern Wisconsin people, Duluth is currently third, which I think that's where they're going to end. Third snowiest winter on record ever. Bayfield is the snowiest winter on record ever and crushed it by a whole snowstorm, like by 10 inches. Like did break the record, had a whole nother snowstorm to make sure we took care of it. I would suspect Drummond, Cable area is all of that. Snow. It can go away.
Why do we live here?
No poisonous things and not a lot of people.
Ah, that works. So, yeah.
And when you get to a lot of people, you get things like Bud Light and the woke liberal, which Wisconsin is 2 years behind Minnesota because now our Supreme Court went blue.
You've now
Governor's
joined the ranks.
blue.
You've now joined the ranks of the insane.
The liberal agenda, man, it's strong in the big parts. I'm actually disappointed Bayfield County did go blue. Slayer County was red. As far as the Supreme Court.
So I propose this. Okay, there's been proposed several times. We cut off the northern half of Minnesota, add it to North Dakota. What if we cut off the northern half of Minnesota and the northern half of Wisconsin? Minus Duluth. Duluth is its own thing. No?
Wisconsin's too blue? You'd want Duluth for the harbor.
Duluth is too blue.
You'd want the import. Huh?
Duluth is too blue.
Yeah, but if you got rid of Minneapolis.
Well, then we just attach North Dakota. We can't become our own state. We know that.
No, I know, but you need to keep Duluth for the import. Economically, you need to keep Duluth.
Yeah, but then they make the decisions for the rest of us.
Yeah, but if there's enough of North Dakota and Minnesota, you trump.
Yeah.
Duluth, but yeah, you need the export or you need the import-export. So you need that. So Duluth, straight over, keep Duluth. We won't join you, but I'm going to take basically from Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's in Minnesota, but right in Minneapolis, I'm going to cut a line straight across, and we're going to join the UP, and we're going to ditch Michigan and be whatever Wisconsin.
Wichigan.
We're going to be Wichigan. We're going to be Wichigan. You're going to be North Minnesota.
Yep. So,
I mean,
that's what we got to do. But we'll save that for the politics podcast. That was a few weeks ago. You missed it.
And then Ironwood, Hurley's our capital. Oh, no.
I've been to Hurley, Wisconsin one time, and I tell you what, I never met a man who had as strong a Canadian accent my entire life, and I live 20 minutes from the Canadian border. I met the most Canadian accent in Hurley, Wisconsin.
It's a doozy.
Oh, yeah, sure, eh? Every other word,
sure.
A. Crazy. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Sorry, we get off track. If you've been listening this far, you know we're crazy, we're passionate, and sometimes we know what we're talking about, half the time we don't. But we pretend we do. And if you believe us, it's probably good information. Maybe. Sure.
Giving you our best guess.
We do our best. That's all you can ask for. So, what I would like to talk about in this episode of Lessons of the Woods, we're going to dig into the meat and potatoes, as it were. Speaking of meat, have you seen like the full-on carnivore diet where they're like eating raw meat? No. Yeah. There's a guy on TikTok, I think he's called the Testicle King. I could be wrong. He eats raw meat exclusively and raw testicles from animals. Nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Look it up. It's kind of interesting.
No, I'm not. I'm not typing any of that into my Google. My FBI agent will be like, just how to eat. No. And then my TikTok algorithm, the Chinese will be like, we need to stay out of Wisconsin. They eat testicles. No.
Hey, did you hear that the TikTok app now connects to your home Wi-Fi?
Sure.
You didn't see that, did you?
No.
Okay, back into politics 1 second, folks. We'll get right back into it. But this is so funny. So the United States Congress is trying to ban TikTok, and one of the congressmen questioned the owner or the CEO of TikTok. He's like, "Does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?" Yes, it has to. Yes, it does. All apps access your Wi-Fi if you have it enabled. But he was trying to make a point that if it accesses your home Wi-Fi network, it's going to take your data.
Nah, we signed that stuff up.
Then they're like, so does it do facial recognition? Well, only if you're like, using the sunglasses filter. So it's looking at our eyeballs and sees our pupils? Well, if you're using the filter, why does it need to see our eyeballs? Because it needs to know where to put the sunglasses. Our Congress people are ancient. They're dinosaurs. We need to do better as a country. Come on, people.
What are you doing? You're voting for the people that... And
I just spazzed. Kyle's just very confused. But yeah, we're voting for people who are stupid.
No, I'm saying what's the alternative? The youthful that haven't ever been whooped?
That's not much better, but can we at least have people that understand what the internet is and how Wi-Fi works? It's the 21st century, folks. Okay, sorry. Cutting it off here. We're getting back on track. What I want to talk about today is I went for a walk in the woods. I did it, Kyle. I survived a walk in the woods a week and a half ago. A week ago last Monday. I survived it, dang it, and I walked through a lot of snow, and my legs still hurt. But I learned some things.
And I want it to be noted that he messaged me and said, if you don't hear from me in 4 hours, I'm out in the woods dead. Call someone.
Mm-hmm. Because I found Timberwolves. Well, not like the basketball team, but I found a lot of Timberwolf tracks, and I kind of got scared. So, I'll walk you through this. I'll walk you through my walk. I'll talk about my walk. Kyle, I'm in a mood tonight, if you haven't noticed. Okay?
Walk it out.
So, I get to the farm. I'm like, I'm going to go walking in the woods. And this is all documented on TikTok. So, go watch the TikTok 10-Point Whitetails on TikTok. If you're still allowed to have TikTok when this comes out. It might be banned. You might not be able to use it anymore. We don't know. Otherwise, you can find them on Facebook, too. So, took off walking from my dad's yard. Walked 2 miles one way to get to my destination. And I knew I was going to do it. But like walking on deer trails is easy. Pretty good. Works great. Walking on tons of deer trails. My dad was feeding deer pretty heavy all winter, so there's lots of deer tracks. Tons of deer tracks. Like, you wouldn't believe how many deer he's feeding. But we're not going to talk about that. Shh. He's not feeding any deer. Wait, this isn't Wisconsin. So we're walking through the woods, and walking's going pretty good. And I find one of the saddest sights any hunter will ever see, a winter kill deer. Which goes to show, no matter how much you're feeding, when it gets 40 below, there's a 1.5 foot of snow, deer can freeze to death. Little fawn, curled up in her bed, frozen to death. Assuming it's a her, there wasn't a lot left, but she was curled up in a bed. Not destroyed. I know the difference. I'm not a forensic expert, but I know the difference between an animal kill and a frozen, curled up in a bed deer. So, continued my walk. Walked, probably about a half mile. Felt great. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cross the road, go on my dad's other piece, go on some state land, and I'm going to go to the cabin. Total 2 mile walk from my dad's farm. Cross the road, get on a deer trail. Now, this is a piece of property where we're not feeding. Deer trail kind of peters out. And I'm walking, following trail, and I'm like, I might find a new place to hunt. You gotta do some scouting. And now, before people get too worked up, people are going to say, we're going to get this comment. I believe it, Kyle. We're going to get it. Why are you out walking in the woods in the winter? The deer don't need to run away from you and burn calories. It's too stressful on them. Yes. I can agree. However, these deer will stand in my dad's yard while we walk around, start the skid steer, do all sorts of stuff. They don't really care. So they're moving 100 yards at most. Most of the deer I'm displacing. I get it. Also, I'm really jealous. All the guys in Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota. Not really North Dakota. Southern Minnesota, posting sheds pictures, finding sheds, nice long dead grass. I don't get to do that. But I'm like, I'm going to go find something. Because I want to. So I did. Across the road. And I found a tree stand that somebody had installed 20 years ago. I don't know. An old wooden tree stand on an oak tree. Who knows how old it is. But they took the time to permanently fix a wooden tree stand to this oak tree. I'm going to sit there this fall. Not in that stand. It's falling down. But I'm going to put a tree stand there. Possibly a trophy tree stand. And I'm going to sit there. And I might see a deer. And I'm going to document it because it's cool. I'm like, this is a cool tree stand. I like this tree. I like this spot. It's kind of like a little, it's an oak tree and there's like a little 10-yard opening. I'm like, this is actually pretty slick. And it's not too far away from a pond, which is cool. It's not too far away from the road, which is less cool. But it's kind of a natural corridor. So let's see what happens. Walk about another 20 yards. Find my first wolf kill of the day. Dead deer, tore apart, pieces everywhere, ribs are gone. Find the skull. The top of the skull is chewed off. I can't even tell if it's a buck or a doe. Where the antlers would be is eaten. Coyotes don't do that, folks. They'll eat the nose, but they don't eat the top of the skull to get the brain out. So that's a wolf. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find these wolves because I'm stupid. So I start following wolf tracks. Wolf tracks tend to go where there's less deer tracks after a while. The snow is soft and fluffy in the woods. It's 1.5 feet deep. Not too bad. Walking on wolf tracks is okay. Then I'm like, wait, I think I'm lost. I don't know where I am anymore. The sun is at dead noon. And I'm kind of starting to wonder, where am I? How far off track have I gone? How do I get to where I want to be? So, like any intelligent person, I did not bring a compass. Because, Kyle, guess what? I'm kind of stupid.
And let's note that you are in solid woods. There's not fields. There's not the next field's half, 3/4 mile that way. The next road's 3 miles that way.
Well, if I walk one direction, there's a road within a quarter mile. But I didn't want to go that direction because I'm kind of walking parallel to it. I wanted to
Right.
leave the road and go deeper inland, which would, yeah, multiple miles in any direction at that point, in deep snow. And I am wearing a hoodie only, no hat, gloves. I did wear gloves, a hoodie and jeans. Because I'm like, I'm going to get
And
hot walking.
and aviators.
Yes, because the sunlight hurts my eyes when it bounces off the snow. I had a backpack with 2 bottles of water. That's it. You know what the backpack was for? All of the antlers I was going to find. I was so excited. So I get lost. I'm like, I've been walking on this wolf trail for a while. I haven't seen a deer track for 300 yards at this point. And I pull out my phone because it has a GPS and barely cell phone signal. And I'm like, Google Maps. Okay, I know where I am now. I want to go west. No, south. I need to go south. Because if I continue east, I will end up on state land and then eventually the neighbor's land. If I go north, I go right back to the road, and that's just a boring adventure. So I'm going to go south, which the nearest road to the south is 2.5 to 3 miles. But I'm going south. Wolf tracks were going east. So I turn and look to the south. There's no tracks. There's no deer trails. There's no wolf trails. There's nothing. But I'm in a little opening. And you know what happens in little openings? When the sun hits the snow? Do you know what happens,
Gets
Kyle?
hard packed.
But not enough to hold human weight.
So this is where you have your snowshoes on.
I've never owned a pair of snowshoes in my life. I might invest. Because it probably would have saved my life. I didn't die, but you know. If I was close, it probably would have helped. And I'm like, Kyle, I left him a voice message. I don't know if I'll make it out of here. I didn't bring a gun. I didn't bring a knife. I can't breathe. I'm exhausted. So I start post-hole stomping through the snow. After about 200 yards, I finally find a deer trail, kind of going in the direction I want to go. And I'm whipped. I follow the deer trail for another 100 yards or so, or whatever it was. And now in a straight line from where I found the dead deer to where I am now, it's about 250 yards. I just walked 600 yards to get there. I find another wolf kill, positioned exactly the same. I mean, like to a T. It's exactly the same. The same body parts eaten off, everything. It's crazy. And I know people are going to be like, well, hey, a wolf eats the body parts. No, but like there's a pattern, right? Like if you know what you like off a T-bone or something, you're going to take that same section. This is exactly the same to a T. Positioned, the bones were positioned the same, which is weird because you wouldn't think they'd care so much. Weird. So now I'm kind of panicky. That's 2 wolf kills on top of the snow, not buried, on top of the snow within like 250 yards. And I am now half a mile from a road, roughly, in 1.5 foot deep snow. And I'm probably a 1/4 mile away from where I want to be. So I keep walking. Like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. Finally, I come across a snowcat trail that Dad made on his land once or twice throughout the course of the winter. So it's kind of packed, but not really. That helped.
Mm-hmm.
But there's less deer tracks now for some reason. They didn't use a snowcat trail like I thought they should. Catch my breath, keep walking, make it to the cabin, and I'm like, finally, I'm here. But do I go inside, warm up, start the wood stove, get comfy? No, I have stuff to do, so I'm gonna go home. And I'm like, I'm really smart. I'm going to walk on the snowcat trail all the way home. It'll be easy. Nope. So I head out down a shooting lane, which normally has a trail on it from a snowcat or a four-wheeler. Not a four-wheeler at this time of year. And it's about 10 feet wide with willows on either side. But the sun is beating down it. And guess what? This shooting lane is probably 300-400 yards long. And it's running east to west. Guess which way the wind's coming from, Kyle?
West.
I'm walking straight into the wind with a hoodie on. No hat. My ears are freezing. My legs are cold. My legs are tired. This snow is 2 feet deep. And the deer tracks have disappeared. Again. I'm walking on top of hardpack sometimes. Sometimes I fall through. Because I am not a smart man. I have never invested in snowshoes. But I found a lot of coyote tracks. Like a lot of coyote tracks. Like I should go call for coyotes near there. I would probably shoot several. Because they were crisscrossing back and forth across that shooting lane. Rabbit tracks galore running around those willows. Well, the coyotes are eating good. So I keep walking. I'm like, I gotta get there. And I just don't have a lot of good options. Because now it's to the point where if I don't keep going, I have to call somebody for help. And I don't want to do that. That's just embarrassing. Because, like, I'm tough. I'm going to make it. Folks, don't do what I did. That was stupid. Can't find deer tracks to save my life. Walking on top of the hardpack and sinking through every 5th step or 5 steps and getting on top 1 step and then sinking through again. Then I finally come to the edge of the willows, and guess what? There's snow drifts again. They mounded up big time. Still walking west. Now the snow is waist deep in places, and I can't get anywhere. I can't get to where the snow is not as deep. I can't find tracks to follow. I did find another set of wolf tracks and followed them briefly. But you know what wolves do? When a wolf walks through the woods, this is how you know it's a wolf versus a deer. Like, even if the tracks are snowed in, this is how you know it's a wolf. When 5 deer walk through the woods, they all take different steps, different places. When 5 wolves walk through the woods, it's 1 set of tracks. Because if one wolf puts his paw here, the next wolf puts his paw there. In the same footprint. Why? Because the first wolf has to do the work. Nobody else has to do any work. They just step right in each other's footprints. And it's so easy. Well, when you got a wolf trail that's gotten a foot of snow on top of it, and you're trying to guess based on little depressions in the snow, it makes it worse. Because you're trying to step on something that's about, I don't know, smaller than a small dinner plate. Like a mug, roughly. A big mug. That's what you're trying to step on with your big size 12 boots, because you wear big heavy boots to keep your feet warm. And then you land on it, but then your next step slides off and you tear the insides of your thighs. And it hurts, and the snow is deep, and you're in pain, and you're cold. Don't follow wolf trails, you'll die. Not because the wolves will eat you, but because you suck.
Or both.
Or both. If they find you, eventually they'll eat you. Why didn't I bring a knife?
They're going to run you off the trail and start picking at you.
I didn't bring a knife. I didn't bring a pistol. What is wrong with me, Kyle?
I would do it here, but not... I've heard the wolves up by you. I wouldn't do it there. No way.
What is wrong with me? Lots. That's what's wrong with me. So finally I get back on the snowcat trail. Keep walking. And it's just not getting any better. And I'm getting cold. I'm like, I got to get back in the woods. I can't stay out here on the edge of the field. I got to get back in the woods. And I finally find a deer trail. I'm like, oh my gosh. 3 deer walked here in the last week. It's kind of packed down. I can get to the woods from here. Get to the woods. Snow's soft and fluffy again. Easier walking. And you won't believe it, but I found... At least I thought I found an antler. Look down the trail. I'm like, oh, I found an antler. I pull up my phone, take a little video, zoom in. Oh, wait. It's 2 antlers stuck together. So That means he's dead. Kind of just like what Kyle's holding. I should have brought it in. It's in my van. I didn't even bring it in. So I find this nice 2-year-old buck, probably 110 inches maybe, little 8-pointer. Not bad, good looking. He would have been great next year had he have lived. But he died at some point last fall. From what I could gather, died just after shedding his velvet because there was a tiny little bit of velvet left on one of the antlers. The spikes in the bottom were still sharp. But why would that be laying on top of the snow, Kyle? If you were a detective, this buck died last fall, but his head is on top of 2 feet of snow.
Something's chewing on the bones and probably dug it up. I mean, the bones are still something there. Something as small as a squirrel to a wolf will chew on the bones. So
now, can a squirrel pick up a set of antlers and put it on top of the snow?
No.
What can?
Wolf, coyote.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe not a wolf kill, but definitely a
wolf attention.
Yeah.
So I pick it up, put it in my backpack because I found something. It's going in the backpack. Barely fit in the backpack, which made me happy but sad because it was a dead deer. Wish I could have seen what he was going to do next year, but he was dead. So continue walking, and I finally get back to the highway. I am dead exhausted, and I'm like, I should call my brother. I should call him. He's at home. He lives a half a mile from where I'm at. He could come pick me up, bring me back to my vehicle, and this nightmare of a walk would be over. But I'm a man, and I'm tough. So I keep walking. I walk down the road a quarter mile, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going back into my dad's other piece, where I came from. The walking's easier there, and I might find something, because there's a lot of deer over there. So I cut back in the woods, and I follow the deer trails, and I get back up to the yard, and I am fully, totally, 100% exhausted, and my watch, with an Apple Watch, you can say, hey, I'm going on a walk, right? You tell it you're doing stuff. So I told my watch, I'm exercising, I'm going for a walk, keep track of how far I go, my heart rate, and let me know how it goes. It got mad at me so many times on that walk. It would beep obnoxiously and be like, are you still walking? You haven't moved. Shut up, Apple. I'm exhausted trying to survive. I walked 4.1 miles.
That's total. A haul. That is an absolute haul.
My leg still hurts.
Well, if you're not,
I am not an in-shape person.
If you're not used to it even, but what did you learn?
I learned that where my dad is not feeding deer, there's more predators than deer. He has pulled all the deer from our good hunt. This was on our good hunting land, like where there's a ton of deer during season. We've food plots all summer long. But there's no winter food, so every deer on that piece, and probably every piece in the area, has moved to my dad's yard. Now, you might say, well, grouping them up like that makes them more susceptible? There we go. That word. Susceptible to predators. Apparently not. I didn't find any kills by predators on my dad's main piece where the feed is. But I found winter kill where the deer get sparse. Or not winter kill, wolf kill where the deer get sparse. So, the predators have moved in. I need to be ambitious and go shoot some. I'm not going to shoot the wolves, Mr. DNR. If you're watching, it's illegal, in case you didn't know. Coyotes are illegal. Do whatever you want. Pretty much. Within reason. So, I learned, feed your deer. Oh, wait, we know that. But feed your deer, and it might keep them safer if they're up closer to civilization. Because wolves don't like civilization. Yet. Also, wolves scare me. Still.
And you got to figure, grouping them up, I don't think it makes them more susceptible to predators. Because it's that many more eyes, it's that many more noses and tails, and what a predator is going to do is going to separate one, take advantage of that 1-on-1 or 5-on-1. There might be 300 deer standing there. They're safer than the one standing out in the field, honestly.
Safety in
So
numbers.
plus bringing them in closer to um, human presence, the deer are going to get comfortable and or be conditioned to humans and feed, where the wolves are like, that's too close, not comfortable, weird noises. um it's you're probably pulling them all out of the deep woods, but I mean it's just to the point of there's nothing out there for them, and the predators are there. So um you definitely have to emphasize predator control to all of the legal limitations you can do. But every coyote you kill, bobcat you trap.
Mm-hmm. And it's too late in the year for any bobcat trapping
Right.
or snaring. But I think next year I'm going to be a lot more proactive about, hey, I'm going to go set my snares. We're going to catch some freaking coyotes. We're going to catch some bobcats because they're easy to catch. And there's no deer out there. So snares are great. They're really easy to set. They work fantastic. But in a high deer density area, you're going to catch deer. And nobody wants to catch a deer in a snare. It's the worst thing in the world to go check your snares and find a dead button buck. It's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But I have now learned that the deer don't hang out on the main piece. The piece that's private, that we have all the permission in the world to snare and trap within season and legal reasons, the deer don't hang out there because there's no food in the winter. But the predators do because there's a little bit of food when the deer go hang out there, but they don't really hang out there that much. So, bobcats are stupid easy to snare if you're smart. Just be scent free. And you go out with their 6 inches of snow, fresh snow, and you just shuffle your feet like this, walk through the snow, make a path, and you lay a stick across the path and you set your snare right about bobcat head height, circle about yay big, 6 inches around, right about bobcat head height. And you will catch a bobcat because they don't like walking in the snow. Bobcats can stay on top of the snow when there's a little bit of a crust. Yeah, they got the paws, whatever. Bobcats hate walking in deep snow. So they will walk, and then that stick, the deer's not going to put its head underneath the stick if it's 1.5 feet off the ground. They're going to step over it. Bobcats are stupid easy to catch if you got bobcats and you are scent free. That's a big one. Not so much with bobcats and coyotes as with wolves. Yes, I have been trained in the art of snaring wolves. Only because the DNR said we could. And they sent a state trapper out because we had a wolf problem a few years ago with my dad's farm deer. Wolves, when I was walking around using their trails, wolves will never use that trail again. Ever. Because I stepped in it. Well, okay, maybe next year, but this winter they're not using it again. They don't like that. When you want to set a snare for a wolf, you do the same thing. You find a wolf trail, you go put a stick across it, but you don't walk down the wolf trail. You walk around the wolf trail, and you come at it from the side. You never touch their footprints. But if a wolf's walked there once, it's a trail, they'll walk there again. You did not learn that from me. Do what you will with that information. Snares are great. You can make them at home. I don't know if you've ever set a snare, Kyle, but it's great. It's fun.
No, I've actually done no trapping in my life, so shame on me.
We did quite a bit when I was younger. Dad would go set snares, and we'd catch
I set some
bobcats and
traps with your
coyotes.
dad.
And yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yep. Well, we went and checked them for sure, and then we set one. So that was interesting.
There's a definite art to trapping. Snaring, you get away with a lot more because you're like a trap. You set up to entice them to come to it. A snare, you just catch them walking down the trail.
Yeah.
So there's more of an art to trapping. I'm not that great of a trapper, but my older brother Austin, he can trap. He is good at trapping. Snaring, the best we ever did. We did get a double once. That was really fun. We got 2 bobcats, 100 yards apart. One day.
Wow.
And they were both smaller. We assume siblings. So.
And I mean, bobcats will do as much damage as anything. So that you
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how many did you find? Three,
Three.
three winter, three
Three
kill.
dead deer total. 2 wolf kill. 1 winter kill.
So there's a couple aspects to that. Where I live, all like the locals feed out their back door, so there's a overly abundant deer herd here.
Mm-hmm.
Not this winter because I can't get out there really. But last winter, towards this time of year, I was walking through the woods looking for sheds, kind of seeing where the deer bed, how they flow through the property and stuff like that. And I found a spike. Definitely froze to death in its bed, but was picked apart since. The thing is, he didn't starve because everybody in here feeds.
Mm-hmm.
So if one yard didn't have the 2 gallons, the next yard did. I mean, he did not die from starvation. He was either weak, injured, something went on, or just got flat out too cold. But even feeding as much as you want, even can't save everyone. I mean, that's just a fact. But a local taxidermist actually posted today. Last week he heard coyotes and wolves. And he said that's not really normal to hear both species going at it. So he went out in his woods and found up here by us.
Yeah,
we do not have
pretty
the
normal
same
down here or over here.
We do not have the same wolf problem you guys do. When I sat at your dad's tree stand and heard them go off, the wolves, that was a very eerie feeling. That if that happened here, we hear the coyotes, yep, absolutely, but not like that. Anyways, he said it was weird to hear both coyotes and wolves going off, so he went and kind of investigated and found a couple deer winter kills. And then he just posted today that he found 3 more. So he's at like a total of 9 deer just on his property. And he's got a good deer herd, but like at my land, if we lost 9 deer, we lost the whole herd. So, and these are probably weak, struggling deer that they're finally being able to catch up with or corner or separate, and they're taking advantage of that. Or it's a deer that just succumbed to the long winter and deep snow and died, and the coyotes and wolves are on. I mean, we shot Ace, and within 12 hours we were on him because we let him lay overnight, and he was chewed up. I mean, they found him. So
yeah, and
we've
never had coyote problems that bad here, whereas that night they're on it, but
we were on the side by side the other day, and we took a ride through the snow, and I didn't see any deer tracks until we got low into the lowland, obviously where they're gonna yard up in bed. So they're condensed down to a very small area that they can't really escape, and they're very vulnerable. So we got to pray the snow goes down. We got to pray that the weather warms up. And like I said, we don't have a wolf problem like you guys do, but still a problem. I mean, still a problem.
mm-hmm.
It's still coyotes are there within that day of a dead animal. So whether it's a deer succumbing to the winter, or normally coyotes aren't gonna chase down a adult full size deer. Not normally. But they got to eat too, so they might push it. But they're gonna definitely take advantage of a deer that succumbs to winter kill. So whether it's a winter kill or a fresh kill, I guess that's to be determined. But they're out there. So
yeah, it's crazy. So these long winters are hard on everybody. They're hard on even people. But imagine you're a deer and you're hungry all the time. You can't get enough to eat because the DNR only lets you put out 2 gallons of corn. You're hungry all the time, and you get a cold. You get the sniffles. You get diarrhea. Now you're dehydrated. You're not feeling well, maybe feverish. I mean, it's so easy for them to just tip over. You go take a nap and you don't wake up. And that happens a lot. Even in the best situation we have here. So the fawn I found was small. She was a small fawn. So even with all the food she could get, and again, I'm assuming she could be a he. I didn't dig up the head and find out, but whatever. All the food she could get, she died 250, 300 yards from the food source. But born late, probably on a yearling doe fawn, got bred late. So she had her fawns late July, mid-August. Fawn went into a Minnesota winter at 35 pounds, 40 pounds at the most, and just too small to handle the winter, even with all of the assistance that we could easily give them. She just couldn't do it. Imagine wearing a hoodie and then sleeping in 40 below temperatures, laying on snow. That's the equivalent to the hair this fawn had, being born late. It's insane what these animals live through. And yeah, they've done it for hundreds of years, thousands of years. They don't need our help. But why wouldn't we help them? Right? Why not? If they're here. They're obviously not leaving. They're living here. Not because we're here helping them, but they're living here. Why wouldn't we want them all to survive?
Right. And, you start adding up the death, the kill. On your property, you got 3 winter kill. You got 5 wolf kills. You got 2 coyote kills. You got, you start adding it up. And granted, if you got a good deer population, you're gonna have more. You're gonna have more kills. You're gonna have more. But your percentage should still stay about the same. But if you got 10 deer, 15 deer that you're trying to maintain through a winter, and you lose 5 of them, your herd's taking a hit. Granted, it's the mature doe that can breed, or the mature buck that you want to harvest, or you lose those. That deadhead of a deer you want to harvest is a really, really tough thing to swallow. Luckily you find it, so you at least can have the trophy, at least have this deer. But the ones you don't find, you don't know that buck disappeared last year. He must have moved on. He probably died, and the squirrels chewed his bones up, and or he's in wolf scat now. You'll never know.
Here. I froze.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, I froze.
What's 5'7", witty, and disappears on a note?
5'7" 3/4. So, video podcast here. I'll be a little lame because I'm not going to try to restart my camera or anything. But yeah, you can just watch Kyle move for a few minutes until my camera comes back up. But winter's tough. Winter's tough, and that's all there is to it. And keeping your deer alive is probably one of the hardest things to do. So, anything else you want to cover on this topic, Kyle? Or 45 minutes? We're about long enough for an episode here.
Winter's tough. I look forward to summer. I look forward to spring. Take care of your deer. Usually we'd be doing some hinge cutting and timber stuff right now, but you can't get in there and do it safely or correctly. So we're just all holding tight, and I look forward to spring and try to recalibrate and see what's walking through the woods, soon. So
yeah, I can't wait for spring, and I'm going to go try to do some shed hunting here as soon as the snow melts, but we're supposed to get rain. My dad's woods, I won't be able to do a lot without drowning, so we'll see. But, yeah, that's kind of where we're going to end tonight, I think, and we'll be back next week at 7 p.m. on Friday with another episode of Lessons of the Woods podcast. Videos coming out soon, or maybe already came out, of Big Buck Down, the hunt for Jack, or the hunt that ended up with Jack. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. You can find Lessons of the Woods every Friday at 7 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. You can find 10 Point Whitetails on TikTok, Facebook. Anywhere else podcasts are. Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We got all sorts of stuff we're doing. And we're hoping to have a guest. We've talked about her a couple of times, but we didn't have a tough time connecting. She got sick the one time we wanted to connect with her. But we want to talk to Jessica with the Wild Race. So hopefully we can get that pulled off here in the next couple of weeks. And keep providing content. If you guys got any questions, email them to 10pointwhitetails@gmail.com or send them to us on Facebook, 10 Point Whitetails. Thank you guys, and we will see you next time.